Oh. Oh, I've got a message from a subscriber. Well, let's see what do they want to know?
Hello, Wesley. I'm trying to figure out if the M4 iPad Pro is good enough for me. I want to make videos, but I just don't know. I want to know if it's enough, okay? Can you tell me what your experience has been like so far?
Boy, can I! I'd love to talk about that, obviously. Let's get into it. I went with the 11-inch model in space black. It's the base model. And I went with this for several reasons. The first reason is because I could not afford even the base model, but I bought it. My option here is to get the base model or wait months and months to get the terabyte version, which comes with more internal storage and double the RAM and one more CPU core. All of that for $600 extra. To me, double the RAM on a computer that doesn't have any kind of thermal handling, it just wasn't worth it. If there was like more GPU, an appreciable amount of additional CPU, I don't know, like if it had better battery, double the RAM, it just didn't seem like enough. One of the big reasons why I did not choose to upgrade was because of this. External SSD. It's fast, it's dust-proof, waterproof, not waterproof. It's IP65. It's got the IP rating that makes me feel not bad about throwing it into my backpack loose.
Kobe.
The big upgrade for me with this iPad is that on the one hand, I have access to Final Cut Pro for iPad now, which I didn't have on my A series iPad, and I can edit directly in that application off of a hard drive. So upgrading the internal storage didn't make sense for me when, this is anecdotal, but I've noticed that I seem to get better performance editing off of a hard drive than I do on internal storage. I don't know if that's because it's using the internal storage for swap memory, or I don't even know what swap memory is. I've just heard people say it. I'm a guy in a basement, so okay. The other reason why I upgraded iPads is because of this unbelievable display, which I continue to fawn over. I'm going to talk about that more a little later on, but that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the actual video editing performance of the base M4 iPad Pro on Final Cut Pro. Is this tablet, is it enough? For starters, I want to mention that this tablet features exactly one Thunderbolt port. There are no other ports at all. There is a port on the keyboard, but that is just for charging. Because how the f could you transfer data through the back of the iPad? I mean, Apple, if you figure that one out. So there's only one port. What does that mean? It means you're going to need a dongle. I have this one from Sateki, and it has a bunch of ports that I don't need. But crucially, it has 2 USB-C ports and an SD card slot. Those are the only things I actually need. Is it vaguely annoying that I have to use a dongle instead of having additional ports? Sure. Is it a deal breaker? Absolutely not. So, generally speaking, here's how I do my work. This is my workflow. First, I shoot all of my stupid footage with the greatest camera ever made. That's the Osmo Pocket 3. Then I upload all of that footage into Final Cut Pro using the dongle. Once it's all been imported, I close out the application, I close out all of my other applications, I lock my iPad, and then I wait for about 1 minute. I wait for this bleeping little light on the SSD to stop blinking, and then I pray to God that the hard drive is safely disconnected before unplugging the dongle, because you still can't eject a hard drive on iPad OS. You just can't do it. There's no option to safely eject. After doing that, I unplug the dongle, I put the SD card back in the camera, and then I reconnect the hard drive by itself so I can just clear up some space on my desk. I really like the dongle is for importing. I really don't like having it out. So we're done with the dongle. Now we have to edit some video. And this is kind of where I'll talk about the performance, but for the very basic homemade videos that I do, I think it's perfect. I don't run into any issues. I can add transitions. I can add music. I can add text. I can choose, the in and out points in my clips and drop them into the timeline. Scrubbing through them is a breeze. I don't have any frame drops. If there's a really specific moment that I want to cut in or out on, I can use the jog wheel to find that frame specifically. And it's just a really cool feature. Overall, I find the editing performance perfect for my needs. It's fast enough, and I work surprisingly quickly using this. The more I use it, the more I like it. The 11 inches doesn't seem so small when I'm just kind of, I feel like my brain is like oriented to this interface and this screen real estate. I don't hate it. So the more I use it, the more I like it. There's a really cool feature with the pencil, for instance, where you can hover over your timeline to scrub through it, which is really, really sick. I barely ever use it, but it's still really sick. Sometimes when I'm bored, I'll just kind of and feel like, I'm Harry fucking Potter. Live drawings go really hard, brother. I love to make many, 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 many layers of drawings, and sometimes I'll even animate those drawings. That brings me to my next point. You can add like a bazillion drawing layers, and you'll see no drop off in performance. But typically, it's when I start to animate those drawings, that's when the system begins to struggle. The app will just outright crash sometimes, which is not ideal. However, when it crashes, I never lose any of my work. I just reopen the app and everything is exactly where I left off. It's pretty great. Is it great that it crashes? No. Is it great that I don't lose any of my work? Absolutely. It's so reliable in not losing any of my progress that sometimes when the app starts to slow down, I'll just close out of the app entirely, just swipe out of it, relaunch it, and get right back to whatever I was doing. And that takes me like 2 seconds to completely close the app, relaunch it. It reopens the project over the SSD in about like quick as a hiccup. And that doesn't bother me at all. Like, could a professional live with that? If you were a professional video editor? I don't know, probably not. But am I a professional? Not yet. So I want you to consider this machine and all that it can do. The other day, I woke up curious about how Call of Duty would perform on Xbox's cloud gaming service. There are certain games that won't even let you play multiplayer over the cloud. And so I was wondering, like, on the one hand, can I even start a multiplayer match on the cloud service? It turned out that I could. But I woke up curious about that. And so throughout the day, using just the iPad, I wrote a script. I shot some B-roll. I got home and shot the rest of the video. And then I imported all of those files using my dongle, edited the video together, exported it, uploaded it, and then I went to bed. So woke up, 5:30 in the morning, curious about this game and the cloud service. And by about 10 at night, I think it was, I was logging off because I had written, shot, and edited and uploaded a video all in the course of a day. So a 16-minute video that did not exist came into being over the course of a single day, using nothing but the iPad Pro base model, a Samsung SSD, a dongle, and the Pocket 3. Is it a mediocre video? Maybe. Am I proud of it? I sure am. Did I ever feel held back by the hardware I was using? No. In fact, this here tablet has a secret weapon that you cannot get on a MacBook, that you cannot get on the Vision Pro, you can't get it on the Studio Display, you can't get it at Walmart. Actually, maybe you can. They might have these at Walmart. Its secret weapon is the tandem OLED display, or the OLED display in general. Hear me out about that one. Ooh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. Hear me out about that one. I hate doing internal screen recordings. On iPad OS, it's just like iOS. You can't, as far as I know, download OBS. You can't do screen recordings through a third party. You have to do it internally through the iOS extension. Those automatically save to the Photos app. My family disowns me for hogging up all of the cloud storage. It's like, I don't know, we've got like a gazillion terabytes of cloud storage. I'm using 95% of it. Everybody else in the family is in the other 5%. And so nobody's very happy about that. Working that way is really inefficient. It's kind of an annoying way to capture footage. You also can't decide what frame rate you want the screen to be recorded at. Like personally, I would want it at 1080p and 60 frames per second because I know this machine can handle that. But you're not allowed to set those parameters. The iPad screen recording will also default to HDR because the display is HDR. Which is, I was going to say, and that sucks. The display being HDR does not suck. Whoa. But having to only screen record in HDR is annoying. The only way I can figure out that I would turn it off is to go into settings, turn off HDR, and then do all the screen recordings and then go back into settings and turn HDR back on when I'm done. No, thank you. That all sucks. You're also limited by copy protection, so you can't screen record a clip from a film because you'll just get a black video. But with the OLED display, you can just point a camera at it. Set exposure. Comes out looking pretty fucking good, honestly. Way better than any other footage of a screen would look. I don't know. I thought I was crazy. I was like, maybe I'm the only one doing this who's like, yeah, I like putting in footage of just recordings of the screen itself because being an OLED panel, it looks freaking great on camera. But I just saw a Verge video about like Walkmans or something. Like somebody's making a Walkman. It was We Are Rewind, and that featured, as far as I could tell, footage directly shot of a iPad screen. Looks good. Apparently it's professional. I don't know. I thought I wasn't. All in all, you can do a lot of great work with this tablet. It performs really well for what it is. I would probably still recommend you get a MacBook or a Mac Mini if you're really serious about making content. But I love this tablet, and I think a lot of other people would too if they gave it a shot. It's got its quirks. iPad OS, nobody's in love with it. I kind of like it. I kind of like not multitasking. I kind of like single tasking and being focused, because for me, it's like I'm going to sit for 2 hours and I've got nothing but the Ulysses app in front of me and I've got the script done. I'm going to sit for an hour and I've got nothing but Procreate in front of me, and I make a thumbnail and it's done. And then I sit for several hours in Final Cut Pro, just in Final Cut for iPad, and now the video's done. I don't know if I would have gotten all that done if I was in a Mac OS environment where I'm multitasking. If I've got tabs open, I've got a Chrome tab, I've got a shot list, I've got YouTube music or whatever. I don't know if I would do well in that environment. So for me, this tablet is pretty
fucking awesome.
It's a one-stop shop device for all of my YouTube needs. Like I said, I'm writing a script, I'm making thumbnails, and I'm editing it together on a 13-inch piece of glass that's that thin. That's pretty incredible. That's pretty cool. Like, I don't know, man. Future's now, old man. They also just came out while I was writing this script. I didn't know they were updating Final Cut for iPad. They added a bunch of features that are going to save me a ton of time. Like, they've got a picture-in-picture plugin that lets me automatically round the rectangles on whatever I'm popping up. I used to do that with a shape mask, one at a time, and it took forever. And I would be like rounding the edges myself, like every single clip that I wanted to do. Now it's like 2 buttons. Oh my God, can you imagine how much time I'm going to save? You're going to see so much more of me because of those updates. And I think because, like it or not, Final Cut for iPad is a subscription model. And you might say, oh man, I really wish I could just own it. But on the other hand, if there are enough people in this application who are paying for the subscription, they're going to have resources to go out and continue to add features to it because there's just a clear incentive for them to do so. And I might wind up with a better video editor than what other people are getting on the Mac environment. That sounds crazy to say right now, but I think in 10 years it might not sound so crazy. So I don't know, if you're interested in the iPad base model, I think is plenty. You can make videos just like this one. This video, just like the last one, was written, thumbnailed, it's shot on the Osmo Pocket 3, but edited all on the iPad in about a day. If you'd rather not do that, there's a tip on what you could do with something like an iPad mini if you don't want to go necessarily this far. If you want to add live drawings to your workflow, you can go on this tablet, you can create a workbench timeline and add a chroma key drop, like a green screen drop background. And then you put your drawings in and you decide how quickly you want them to come in. And you airdrop that to your Mac and put it in your timeline. And then you chroma key it out and voila, you've got live drawings. If you don't have the Pro, you can do all that with an iPad mini. Is it worth $500? I don't know. That's up to you. But if you want to have some of the features that you get in the Final Cut for iPad, but you're not sure that you want to spring for the Pro model and get the keyboard and replace your laptop and have to get the pencil and all this stuff, you can save a lot of money and just get the mini and still get the live drawings. And I don't know if you're gonna get as good of video performance. Sorry, I'm cracking my knuckles. I don't know if you're gonna get as good of video editing performance on the mini. Probably not, but might be passable. Might be fun to play around in. Okay, well, that's all. That's our show. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about this iPad, or if there's something you're interested in seeing, just drop a comment down below. Otherwise, get the fuck out of here. I'm not fucking playing with y'all anymore. Not fucking. What'd I say? You just gonna sit there? I don't think so. I don't think so.